Hey guys, what's up? Prestige Pokemon back here again today. And today we got a little bit of a different kind of video. Today we have 22 Pokemon cards that we are going to submit to PSA. So in today's video I'm just going to show you guys what cards we're going to submit and what grade I think they're going to get. So usually the turnaround for these PSA returns are usually around 2 to 3 months. So we probably won't know the final grade for a few months. But still cool to show you guys what cards I do have that are going to PSA. So first up, I guess would be a trio of Shining cards. So we got Shining Genesect, Shining Volcanion, and Shining Mew. So all three of these cards I have pulled from the Shining Legends set. They're all in great shape. Centering on all three are pretty good. No real nicks, scratches, any marks like that. So I'm thinking all three, so that's the Genesect, so all three are going to get a PSA 10. So that's the first three cards I'm going in. These Shining cards aren't worth a whole lot right now. Shining Mew PSA 10 grade, it can go up to somewhere around I think $60 to $80. But who knows, in a few years they could be worth something. Next one is Mewtwo, or Mewtwo GX Shining, which is also from the Shining Legends set. This one I also pulled, and it's in great shape. No nicks, no scratches. Centering on the back is pretty good. The only reason I don't think this is going to get a 10 is the centering is a little high on this card, so it's a bit towards the top and leaving some room down the bottom. So I'm thinking this might get a 9. I don't think it's off-centered enough to get a 9 off-centered, but who knows. So I'm predicting a 9 for this Mewtwo card. Next two cards are from the Black and White era Legendary Treasures. They're both Reshiram gold cards. So one I actually pulled a while back. It wasn't on my channel, but I did pull one, and one I recently just purchased. So both cards look like they're in pretty good shape. This one here, the one I purchased, does have one little white nick up in the corner. Besides for that, everything else looks fairly mint. So I'm hoping it gets a 9, but it might end up getting an 8. This one right here, pretty flawless on the back. No real nicks anywhere. Pretty clean all the way around. And on the front, the centering is pretty good. I don't know, with the gold cards, it's kind of hard to see. But the centering looks fairly even all the way around. So I'm hoping this one gets a 9. This one I think even has potential for a 10. But my prediction is probably going to be a 9. Next up is another card I recently purchased. It's the Mega Charizard from Flashfire. Now it is only number 69. It's not the secret rare. But this one is looking pretty clean. Centering on this card is really good. Again, with these EX cards, it's hard to pick out the centering, but this one looks fairly good. On the back, the centering looks fairly good as well. Not really high. It might be a little bit left to right, but there's not really any nicks, any marks, anything like that. So I'm hoping this one comes back PSA 10. This one's looking fairly clean, and I think it is PSA 10 worthy. Next one is one I purchased a while ago, which is a Uxie Level X card. So again, centering on the front is fairly clean. Centering is amazing. There's not really any major hollow scratches. I think there was one minor hollow scratch, but nothing really serious. And then on the back, as you can see, there's probably a little nick up here in the corner, and another one right there. So with a couple nicks and maybe a hollow scratch on the front, I'm thinking this one only comes back an 8. At least I'm hoping for an 8. Like I said, this is my first PSA submission, so I'm not really sure how picky they are, but I'm hoping this one comes back PSA 8. Next up is my Charizard from the base set. So this one had really good centering. It did have some hollow scratches, but not a lot, just a few minor hollow scratches. And then on the back, there was not really any nicks on it whatsoever. It was fairly clean back, fairly centered well. I think the hollow scratches in the front is going to cause this to go down and maybe only get an 8. So I'm thinking an 8 for this Charizard. Now this Venusaur I've owned since, it's probably the only original Pokemon card I still own. It was kept in a top loader the whole time, in storage for almost 15 years. I took it out, looked at it, no hollow scratches. Centering is really good on the front. No nicks on the back. Centering looks pretty good on the back. I'm hoping this one comes back a 10, but because it's old and it was pulled a long time ago, I'm thinking it might only get 9. But fingers crossed for a 10 on this one, guys. Now our next two cards were purchased probably a couple months ago. They were the no symbols jungle cards of Electrode and Vaporeon. Now these do have some minor hollow scratches on the front. They were promised mint cards, and when I actually got them, they had hollow scratches on the front, and a couple of them had, like the Vaporeon's fairly clean on the back, but the Electrode had a nick up top and a nick on the side, and the Vaporeon actually does have a nick on the side as well. So I'm thinking these only come back as 8s. I was hoping I would get 9 or 10s when buying, but I'm thinking these are only going to come back as 8s. Next up, we have a large amount of legend cards that I just recently purchased. So we have the top half of Suicune and Entei Legend. So this one, I'm not quite sure how the centering works on these because they are half cards. But if you look at the 3 edges, the centering is fairly good right there. So no real problems with the centering on the front, and there was no hollow scratches whatsoever. And then we look at the back, and the centering was also really good on the back. So I'm thinking this one comes back 9 with a possibility of a 10. Cards usually I purchase off people, I don't think they're going to get 10s just because they've been open for a while, but this one may. So next one is we have the top half of Entei and Raikou Legend. So again, much like the last one, the centering is really good on the 3 sides, no real hollow scratches. And then on the back, there was no white marks, and the centering looked fairly clean on the back as well. So I'm thinking 9 with a strong possibility for a 10. And then the next uncompleted legend cards we have is the Lugia Legend. This is the third one of the 3 that I don't have completed, so I don't have the top half of this one or the bottom half of the others. But this one again, much like the other 2, clean hollow pattern, no real scratches. Centering on the front is great. And then the centering on the back looks really good as well, but there is one minor nick down here in the corner. So I'm thinking this comes back 9, maybe an 8 because of that nick, but I'm hoping for a 9 on this one. Next up, we have the top and bottom half of the Ho-Ho Legend. So again, centering, hard to pick out, but it looks pretty clean on both cards. No hollow scratches whatsoever. These were kept in the top loader since they were open according to the buyer or seller. So no hollow scratches on the front. And on the back, we flip around. And I do see a little bit of whitening, not much, but a little mark up there. And then there's a couple down here in the corner. So I'm thinking 8s with a possibility of 9s on these 2 Ho-Ho cards. So if these come back 9s, I'll be really happy about that. But I'm thinking they're going to be 8s. Next up, we have the Rayquaza and Deoxys, top and bottom. So again, front is fairly clean, much like the rest of the cards. No real marks on the front, centering is good, hollow scratches are minimal. I know you can't see them in the top loaders, but they are really clean cards. On the back, these 2 cards are fairly clean, no real white marks. I'm not seeing any anyway. Actually, this one has a little nick down the bottom there. I'm not sure if you guys can see that. And this centering on the bottom piece looks a little bit left to right. So I'm thinking the bottom piece might only get an 8, but I'm hoping the top piece here gets a 9. So I'd like to get the same grade for both of them, but if one gets a 9, one gets an 8, I can't really complain with that. And then the last of my legend cards will be the Kyogre and Groudon Legend, top and bottom. So again, this one's fairly clean on the front. All these legend cards I purchased were really clean on the front. No marks. Centering was fairly good. It's the back where there's been a couple minor problems. So like these two, no real marks. A little white speck up on the bottom half and a little white speck up there on the bottom half. So I'm hoping these come back 9s. But again, with a white speck on the back, it could be an 8. So we'll see what PSA decides to give us. But I'm hoping these come back as 9s. And then our last one, our creme de la creme, would be our Gold Star Gyarados. So recently purchased this, got a great price on this one actually. Only paid $120 for it. I was a little skeptical at first because they were claiming it was grade worthy or near mint. But after getting it, it looked like a pretty good card. No hollow scratches on the front. The centering is really good. And then we flip over to the back. And again, clean cuts on the side. No white marks. There might be a little bit of a white edge there. But I'm thinking this is a strong 9, or definitely a 9 at least. So I'm hoping 9 for this Gyarados. So yeah guys, that's my 22 cards I'm submitting to PSA right now. Like I said, I don't do many PSA submissions, but I've purchased a lot of these recently, and I just want to see, just trying to gauge what value or what kind of grades cards are being given depending on what their condition. Like I said, a lot of these cards look almost flawless to me, with the exception of a minor white mark or 2. So I'm just wondering how much that affects the PSA grading. So hopefully in 2 to 3 months, I'll be back again with the follow-up video on what the grades I got on all these cards was. So until next time guys, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and until next time, enjoy the day.